In our top story at this hour, the Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa has warned the SACP against walking away from the ANC-led alliance. Now, this comes amid talks of the SACP seeking to contest elections on its own in 2019. Ramaphosa warned SACP delegates not to take the decision to walk away from the alliance lightly. The Deputy President said the temptation of forming an alternative alliance after the 2019 elections might not yield the desired results. It remains to be seen if the SACP will heed the call for unity and stay in the alliance.
What we do know is that the enemies of our revolution have always seen the alliance between the ANC, the SACP, COSATU, and now SANCO as one of the greatest threats to their efforts to hold on to the privileges that they have so long enjoyed. To this day, there are many who seek to end this alliance. Even within our own ranks, comrades, there are some who, for whatever reason, continue to question the value of this alliance, and in ways that one does not understand, seek to find ways to hasten its death. As we have done for decades, and as we continue to do, we must resist each effort to destroy this alliance. This alliance was built through blood and struggle, and it must continue and continue forever. That's what I would say. To destroy the alliance between the ANC and the SACP would be indeed a grave mistake to which history will provide no absolution. We will have committed a grave historic error. The people of South Africa would not forgive such a reckless act because their well-being and prosperity is inextricably linked and bound to the success of the NDR that we are both committed to pursue.
Ramaphosa's warning comes amid reports of some SACP members conspiring with the anti-Zuma ANC leaders to plot an exit from the tripartite alliance in a manner that can also guarantee its survival. So this is what happened at the meeting. According to ANN 7 sources, the ANC and the SACP leaders secretly met on the sidelines of the SACP's 14th Congress. Anti-Zuma ANC leaders attended factional meetings despite the president's call for unity. And a meeting was discussed of a possible strategy for the SACP to contest the 2019 elections on its own.
The reality of the SACP's position in South African politics at this stage is that they cannot do it on their own. They would like to coerce ANC members to take them to the ballot box, but they are aware that they will not be able to make it as an independent political party. So this is an armed struggle in order to woo or to coerce or seduce ANC members to align themselves with the SACP, particularly people who are in the anti-Zuma camp, to join the SACP and hope and pray that they build a significantly big party in order to play in the political periphery in 2019 and beyond. So, of course, there would be a meeting, and at this stage they have to be private, I believe, because they're attempting a coup of sorts. This will attract people in the ANC to then vote for the SACP that goes on the ballot box. I think what was clear within the opening address of Mr. Nzimande was that there were no people who are in the pro-Zuma camp. This was people who are in what we consider the anti-Zuma camp, or people who were once members of the NEC, or people who were once ministers, and I cite the likes of Mr. Mcebisi Jonas, Mr. Frank Chikane. Those were people who joined in. Mr. Kgalema Motlanthe were there in the opening address. And those people, I think we are aware, many of them are called the stalwarts and present the anti-Zuma group within the ANC. However, you did not see people like Nomvula Mokonyane, Mr. Mosebenzi Zwane. So this had a strong anti-Zuma stance yesterday. When Mr. Nzimande spoke, it was very significant that they were blaming President Jacob Zuma and the Gupta family for the state of the alliance. So, of course, it was an anti-Zuma stance. And for that matter, it should not surprise us that a planned coup or attempt for the SACP to go independent, because that has been the desire all along. My only concern is that at this point, they are going to use President Jacob Zuma and the alleged state capture to go into independent politics. Whilst for me, it is a clear and conscious mark. If anybody wants to go into active politics, they simply need to register with the IAC, become an independent party, and campaign for votership. They need not blame it on President Jacob Zuma. If they feel they can manage an electoral campaign, for that matter, they should just continue and attempt to get on the ballot box.
If it is true that such a meeting has been held, it is a very serious matter. And in fact, I believe that the African National Congress will have to lodge an investigation to establish the facts of this, because this will be tantamount to a process of conniving to undermine the tripartite alliance, which in our minds would be a very, very serious misdemeanor, in fact, more than a misdemeanor, a serious crime, I would call it, against the revolutionary alliance that we had with the SACP and with COSATU.
I believe it's a clear indication that the SACP, which is very, very critical about Zuma and Zuma's misconduct, is aligning with the anti-Zuma groups within the ANC structures. But then we must also take into consideration, over the past, let's say, 2 years, there was a strong development in South African politics. I would like to refer to it as a shift to the left, and there are two important groups on that side, the so-called black consciousness groups, and on the other side, the radical socialists. And the radical socialists are working in the direction of a united front, something like the old United Democratic Front, and I believe that the SACP can also play a role in that direction.
Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa has also called on SACP delegates to take a stand against state capture. Ramaphosa said no one could keep quiet while the house is burning. Ramaphosa spoke out against what he called the looting of the state funds by politically connected families. He called for an urgent establishment of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into the allegations of state capture. The Deputy President said those found guilty should be brought to book and stolen money should be recovered. Meanwhile, the ANC seems divided on the scope and extent of the inquiry, with some saying the probe should not be limited to the Gupta family.
State capture has already had a profoundly damaging impact on our economy, on our state, and on the well-being of our people. We need to act now to prevent any further damage. Is that this judicial inquiry, which, by the way, those who criticize the SACP and who criticize Comrade Blade for saying nothing, he was amongst the first to call for a judicial inquiry. And we are now saying this judicial independent inquiry must be appointed without any further delay. The house is burning.